Welcome back to the Kennedy Crusade. I'm Dr. Pat, your very humble host. And in a previous episode, we did talk about beliefs and how that impacts your health. And the catchphrase, if you can believe it, you can achieve it, is so accurate when it comes to our health. And neuroscientists have found out that thoughts are 1,000 times stronger than chemicals. And I think that's why in the book of Romans, chapter 12, verses 1 and 2, states that we're not to be no longer conformed to the patterns of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of our minds. Gosh, that really rings home true in this, because we're being called to renew our minds, to think differently, control our minds versus our minds controlling us. This brings me back to some research by some psychiatrists and psychologists. They were doing this to try to figure out, drinking wine to excess so that you would become drunk, would that affect IQ? Duh. It was kind of a sham experiment. They closed a bar and they allowed these people to come into the bar. There were a lot of people who signed up for this, if you can only imagine. And they didn't know who was going to be in which group, but half of the group got to drink as much wine as they wanted to at the end of the night, take the IQ test. And the other group got to drink grape juice all night. And they got to take the IQ test at the end of the night as well. But they were laughing at the people getting drunk. So the whole thing was just crazy. Of course, the IQ was diminished greatly in the drunk group. Some of the people couldn't even take the test because they were so sick. Others were vomiting and struggled through and take the test. But a lot of them were just completely drunk taking the IQ test, and they failed miserably. At the end, they announced to the whole group, to their amazement, that the entire group was drinking grape juice. But think about that. The people were so convinced that they were drinking, and they would have on their fourth glass of wine, and their brain was going, look, Susie, you've drinking 4 glasses of wine tonight. You know what's going to happen. You're going to get sick, and the brain believed it. Because remember, brain's sending out those signals, and then the body is picking up those signals and responding to those signals 1,000 times stronger than chemicals. I'm encouraging you, and myself as well, to control our minds. Remember, have a thought, that's fine, but ask yourself, why am I thinking that? What is that? Is it true? Is it, because you don't want your body to go in a direction that's not true, right? But what if you have trouble? You really can't seem to control your mind. Like you have fears and doubts and anxiety and depression and anger, and it just seems like it's out of control. Well, one of the most common gene mutation in the human race is the MTHFR gene mutation, or the methyl tetrahydrofolate reductase gene. And what that means is that you cannot convert or methylate folic acid, which is synthetic B9, and it's in everything, and cyanocobalamin, which is synthetic B12, which is in everything. I mean, take a look at the boxes that you're buying at the store, and if it says enriched or fortified, it's going to have folic acid, cyanocobalamin in it. They're very toxic to our systems, but a lot of us can actually convert that into methylfolate and methylcobalamin, which is the usable forms. It's like taking crude oil out of the ground and trying to put it into your gas tank. Well, it's not going to work very good. The crude oil needs to be put into the refining process, and it was refined and turned to gasoline. Now the engine can run. So we can't take folic acid and cyanocobalamin unless we methylate it or refine it into the usable forms to be able to use it. And like I said, it's sprayed on our food. They use cyanocobalamin in all these sports drinks and these energy drinks, and it's all over the place. And so as you age and you can't convert it over or methylate it, it builds up, and it can cause all kinds of problems, because here's what you need. You need to have folate, methylfolate, and methylcobalamin combined with 9 different amino acids, some minerals, vitamin D3, and cholesterol to be able to make your neurotransmitters. And so if you don't have the necessary ingredients, like you're just putting crude oil into your system, you need gasoline, there's going to be a problem, and your system's going to freak out. And freak out in the system is anxiety, fears, depression, anger, lack of motivation, all kinds of things, because you cannot make serotonin and dopamine and epinephrine and norepinephrine and the other neurotransmitters to mix them up to be able to produce the right feelings in your brain to be able to, control what you're thinking. So some of us need help, and that's where a functional medicine expert comes in. And I'm not a medical doctor, I'm a chiropractor, practiced over 30 plus years, and I am a functional medicine enthusiast. So you can, if you would like to, reach out to me through email, and I can tell you how to get the correct gene test to see if you have an MTHFR or some of the other common gene mutations, to see if that's affecting the way that you're actually manufacturing your brain neurotransmitters. And you literally, instead of thinking, I've got to go through all this counseling and all this other stuff, and I'm not saying that's not good, I'm just saying that you have probably a nutritional deficiency because you can't methylate properly. And there's a 50-50 chance right now because it's so common. Reach out to functional medicine. I'm really doing a good job trying not to tell people to buy this or buy that. I don't want this podcast to be associated with that. So you can personally reach out to me, email me. I can tell you the tests that I've done on me and my family and patients, and find out, if you have any gene mutations, and then what nutrients you need to fight that gene mutation so that you can be healthy. And it could really change your whole outlook as you've gotten older. Makes life a little more exciting. And so you don't have to submit yourself to those fears and anxieties. So until next time, eat smart and praise the Lord.